Hello, and welcome to Crafting a Revolution, the podcast. My name is Katie Freeman, and I'm one of your hosts. Every week, we bring you interviews with makers of all kinds from all over the world that identify as female or non-binary. This episode's guest is Sieng of Crafty at Heart. Sieng is a nurse, wife, mom, and maker. Her maker journey started when she made a teeter-totter for her kids with the help of a local woodworker. After that, she started gathering tools to fill up her garage and started seeing what she could make. She has enjoyed making everything from furniture to home projects and recently resin. It was an absolute delight to get to chat with Sieng, and I cannot wait to share that conversation with you. But before we get into the interview, I want to give a big shout out and thanks to the patrons over on Patreon, including a brand new patron, Candace of CJ Woodgrain. Thank you so much, Candace. And Ellie Runyon, Annette, 513 Woodworks, Katie Thompson, Women of Woodworking, Kevin, Lefty's Woodshop, Christy, Twisted Twine, Jeremy at Jeremy Spies, Sammy, Go Sammy Lee, Rachel, Moody Makes, Bonnie, Tool Mom Bonnie, toolmomstore.com, Laura, Oakley Soap Company, Brandy, Studio Obey, Lee, the Rainbow Carver, Ellen, Little Bear Furniture, and Ethan Carter Designs. Thank you all so very much for your ongoing monthly support, helping me and Katie Thompson to produce multiple episodes every week, all month long. If you would like to support the podcast, be sure to hang out to the very end, and I will share all the different ways that you can support the podcast there. All right, let's head on into my conversation with Sieng of Crafty at Heart. Well, on the podcast, I like to ask guests to introduce themselves. Would you do that for me?
Sure. Well, my name is Sieng, and I am Crafty at Heart. You can find me on TikTok or on Instagram. I'm mostly on Instagram. I've been a nurse for about 16 years now. I work full time. I also have 2 kids. My son is 10 and my daughter is 7. They're both pretty creative in their own ways, but my daughter, I'm noticing like she has a lot of my characteristics. Like even like if there's a roll of paper towel or something like that, she'll save it for a project, just little stuff. And she'll come up with all these ideas as she's feeding them out, as she's gathering stuff in. It's like, okay, I think she's to the point I was like, we might have to hold off on some of her project ideas. Yeah. She's very creative. So we got a couple of roll of toilet paper and a couple of paper towels roll up and ready to go for her bird feeder. Yes. Getting ready for spring. And I've been married for about 12 years now, and we live in Wisconsin, so it's pretty cold still, but today's supposed to be in the 50s, which I'm looking forward to. I got started because I actually started doing a little bit of house projects and stuff like that when we moved into our new house in 2018. My kids wanted a teeter-totter. So, and they don't have that in the playground as much anymore. Yeah. So I was like, okay. And I saw there's a plan from Anna White online. And so I was like, okay. And so I didn't have any tools at that time, but I messaged and met with one of the woodworkers nearby locally. And we were communicating, and he had helped, pretty much put it all together, which was amazing. And he has all sorts of tools, and he introduced me to a lot of the tools that he has, the scroll saw and also the sanders and then also like the table saw. And he had helped me in so many ways. And ever since then, I caught the woodworking bug. So, and then my husband did not know for like 6 or 7 months. Ever since then, I started like purchasing tools on Facebook Marketplace. And if there's a deal or something like that over at Home Depot or Lowe's, I bought them, and I would hoard it and hide it in the trunk of my car for a while. And then once I clear out the garage a little bit, I slowly just put stuff in the garage. He doesn't know where to go out there. And so I was like, oh my gosh. And then and I actually bought my first scroll saw and stuff like that through Facebook Marketplace and practice on it. Um and then ever since then, I've just been like accruing all sorts of tools and stuff on my own through Facebook Marketplace or through friends and family, but also a lot of deals at the local stores. Um, Woodworking and creating things has been like my therapy, with everything going on, and it's
Mhm.
a stress reliever. And my husband do notice like I get kind of grouchy when I don't have time for my because it's me time. I
Mhm.
get so I get grouchy, and so he was like, "Okay, mommy needs her time." So he always like, "Oh, do you need some time for yourself?" I'm like, yes. So
Mhm.
and so he always gives me that opportunity, which is great. He do this stuff with the kids and keep them entertained for a little bit. So which makes a huge difference. He's my number one supporter, even though I don't sell stuff, but I just make stuff just for fun
Mhm.
and for me to learn. So that's mainly it. And then my dad actually, when I first started, my dad actually was the one that kind of introduced me to like hand tools.
Mm.
He used to carve a lot, hand carve, and he would
Okay.
make like picture frames and stuff like that for our house. And he would make it really very intricate and all sorts of different flowers and stuff like that. So um, he actually had also like did a lot of finishing work around the house and when we lived in apartments and stuff, so that made a huge difference in my life, just because that was his way of also like relaxing.
Mhm.
So that, and then I was never, my mom always says you should learn how to cook. I'm like, I could learn that in the long run.
Right.
I got plenty of time to learn. And she's like the traditional Laotian mom, so
Mhm.
she's always like, if you come over, she'll feed you like 10 different meals. And then she'll have like she'll be prepping for like 2 days, and then we have tons of meals ready for you. But but I was never like into cooking. That I think that's more like a stressful thing for me. And I always end up burning food, so I was never into cooking. And so and so that's why I was like, I was always very into like arts and crafts, even throughout high school and stuff like that too. So that was
Mhm.
always something I enjoyed doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have your kids are about the same amount apart as mine. Mine are just a
Yeah.
little bit younger than yours. My oldest, well, he'll be 9 in June, and my youngest
Oh,
just turned 6.
oh,
So,
happy birthday.
yeah. And I didn't, you know what? I did not realize you were in the Midwest. I mean, we're
We're
neighbors.
neighbors.
Yeah, Iowa and Wisconsin are, bordered
Yeah.
together. Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Did you grow up in the Midwest or
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. My family and I came here from Laos in 1988.
Okay.
We were sponsored by a local church that my aunt attended and stuff too. So which was really nice, because at least we had some family members
Yeah.
in Wisconsin. So, but there was definitely a huge difference coming from Laos to Wisconsin, because we came in December.
Yeah, I was gonna say
And
definitely
so,
like temperature wise, there's probably a huge
yeah.
difference.
Yeah, it was funny because we landed in California and I didn't know any better. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is nice. It's warm and sunny. And then we hopped on a plane again to land in Wisconsin. We're like, oh, but luckily my cousins actually, they had like jackets and stuff like that
Mhm.
ready for us. The church had prepared a lot of the stuff for us, which was really, really awesome of them. Um, and of course, we got exposed to like Christmas for the first time and stuff like that. I remember um my cousins and I were making uh Christmas decorations with kicks, how you thread them.
Yep,
So,
yep, yep.
but I end up eating most of it, but we threaded most of it around the Christmas tree. So, but it was pretty neat though. It was pretty neat being exposed to for the first time. And then we were like, what is all this? All
Right,
the
right.
presents and stuff. So yeah, yeah.
Was it I imagine it had to be a pretty, besides the weather and stuff, I mean, the Midwest is like pretty dang white. So was there, I mean, was that,
Mostly, yeah.
I don't know, was that hard to, was there much community outside the family you already had in the area that like you could
It
connect with?
was. It was. We when where I grew up in Milwaukee, and the area that I grew up, they were pretty diverse.
Mhm.
And the church that I attended were very diverse as well. And the cool thing is like the priest that two priests that were there and the nuns, and the sister that's there, she is Laotian.
Okay.
And then the two priests that were the main priests, they speak Laotian as well, like
Okay.
fluently, and they're Caucasian. And then they would always have a couple of different ceremony services. The first one would be English, and then they would also have like a Laotian version of things too throughout the day. And then after that, they would have they have it in Spanish
Mm.
after that one for the Spanish speaking. And then, so it was a very diverse community where I grew up, which was really, and that's what I look for the kids too.
Yeah.
When we were looking for houses and schools and stuff like that, I want to make sure that my kids are exposed to the different diversity, just
Hmm.
because my husband's Caucasian as well. So that's what we look for,
Hmm.
especially for our kids.
So with your, when you were talking about your dad and the hand carving, that explains why you have an interest in carving, because we've had some some messages back and forth
Yes.
on Instagram. Um, but I've also seen like you've been doing a lot with resin lately.
Yeah. Yeah.
So besides the woodworking bug, you caught the resin bug as well.
Yes. It has become an addiction, I feel like. Well, at least my husband feels like it's an
Yes.
addiction. But I've been kind of experimenting or learning different things
Hmm.
throughout since I started Instagram, just because the community is so diverse and
Hmm.
there's so many different things out there that people can do and make. Like a lot of your guests and stuff like that, there's so many different diverse and arts and creativity
Hmm.
out there in the world, and it's like just being exposed to that. And a lot of the makers in the community are, and also woodworkers, they're my motivation and inspires me, like it's
Hmm.
like this is pretty neat, because there's so many things you could do out there. I started, like, when I first started, I didn't know anything about tools. I only had when I first started, I only had like one of those Black and Decker drill, the
Hmm.
little tiny ones, just for like
Hmm.
little minor home renovations and stuff like that. And that was it. Um, but it was just like, I think I started off with the teeter-totter, and then I grew from there. I just started learning like scroll sawing and cutting boards and stuff like that. And then now I started doing the deep pours and the epoxy and the waves. That's it's so different, and so it
Hmm.
definitely, I want to keep up with my skills and different things and learn different things. And that's just me.
Yeah.
And that's how everyone in the community is. Like, I think, I know I don't have like a niche in particular,
Hmm.
and I think, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing sometimes, but I was like, yeah, but I think in a way, if I stick to one particular thing, like I used to do flags a lot for a while, and then, but then it just, but then I still can do it and stuff like that. But I was like, do I want to keep doing this? Or if I do waves, do I want to keep doing it? So
Hmm.
it's like, it just, I feel like that's how my life has always been. Like, even with my career, I feel like I change jobs like every 2 years. Or like I worked in the ER for a while. I like the ER, but because there's a couple of things that I could do. I could be in like a triage nurse where like the patient comes in and I just go through like just getting the basic information.
Hmm.
And the other things is like doing IVs, and I could do, and I enjoyed the IV part. I could put an IV in anybody and anywhere, which is great. But there's pros and cons to that, because then you're always in need of someone to put an IV in. And I've had patients that would specifically just only comes in if I'm working when they come in for my previous jobs and stuff like that. They're like, when are you working? So I could schedule, and so I have to look at my work schedule and say, hey, I'll be here in this day. And I've had patients that would just specifically just ask for me, which is great. I enjoy doing it. So, and a lot of the other nurses, they have a hard time getting the IVs in and stuff. So that's one of my other
it's
skills.
A talent. It's definitely a talent.
Thank you.
Taken from somebody who has very small veins and frequently ends up with them blown out because
yeah.
It's a talent.
Yeah. Thank you.
But I think you can say that maybe like a specific type of making you don't have like a niche for, but maybe just learning is the and I think that's fine too. And I know like resin has a pretty steep learning curve. Like there's a lot of ways to mess up resin.
Oh yes.
Again, coming from somebody who's probably made every single mistake you can make when it comes to resin and the amount that's been wasted on the floor because
my gosh.
I find the crack or whatever and all kinds of stuff.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
I was like, this is sometimes you feel like you need to put more hot glue or more tape underneath. I was like, is this enough? And there's like a thick layer. Like it's never enough, but it might be hard to pull off.
Yes.
And get it off.
Exactly.
Okay. As long as it stays in, I'm okay.
That's right. I mean, so what was it about? Did you, when you were making the teeter-totter, were you on like Instagram and stuff already, or?
No, I was not. Yeah, I had my a personal page for Instagram, and then one of my brother-in-law, he was like, you should set up because he saw that I was making teeter-totter and doing some house stuff and stuff like that. He was like, you should set up another account just for like your arts and crafts and stuff like that, And so I did, and I was like learning. I was like, and he was like, oh, I posted something, and he was like, oh, you should probably add some hashtags. I was like, what is that?
I know.
He was like, well, that way, people can follow certain hashtags and maybe they could find you and stuff like that. I was like, okay. And then I started slowly learning about Instagram. And right now it's just constantly changing. So I was like, I'm just going to post and do whatever I want.
Yes. Today's episode is sponsored by Athena Outfitters. Athena Outfitters is a quality workwear brand for hardworking women that sells everything badass beauties need to get the job done, from work boots to basics. They curate the toughest essentials made to help you perform. Every piece is handpicked to seamlessly slide right into your daily lifestyle, from rugged and roguish weekday wear to effortless weekend flair. You can fill your closet with gear that can do it all. So for Christmas, I ordered my wife like a very nice pair of slippers from Athena Outfitters, and she loves them. Loves them so much that she has accidentally gone to the gym and the grocery store in them because they seem to never leave her feet. So definitely a place to go check out, go get the goods that help you not only out in the shop, but just in your daily work around the house and outdoors. As a listener of the podcast, you can go to Athena Outfitters website and use coupon code MM as in M&Ms 15 for 15% off any purchase. So again, you go to athenaoutfitters.com and use the code MM15 and get 15% off of your purchase at checkout. Yeah, I was the same way when I started Instagram. I mean, you can go back to several of my probably first few months of posts, and I didn't do any hashtags, and like didn't understand why then they only got like 7 likes.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, people aren't seeing these because you're not doing this whole hashtag thing.
I
Um,
know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
learning all of
Yeah.
that stuff. How'd you come across Anna White?
She was one of the, I think I followed her and then and then the Shabby Cheeks.
Mm,
Oh, the twins.
yep,
And I've seen her ads on Facebook and stuff like
gotcha.
that, or like the sponsor posts,
Yeah.
and then and so I was like, oh, and and I've heard a lot of people talk about her too, which is great.
Hmm.
She has so many different things, like especially for beginners. And there's always different plans and stuff like that. So I start looking her plans up and start learning from her as well, she does amazing work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I definitely appreciate her page. Like I didn't like I learned about Anna White. I think I actually learned about Anna White from a guest of the podcast mentioning her
Oh,
at first. Just because like typically the stuff that she makes isn't necessarily the kind of stuff that I do, so I wasn't out there like
yeah,
looking for it. But
yeah.
she's definitely come in handy as of late. Like I started a local um woodworking group specifically for like
Oh,
women and non-binary folks.
yeah.
And my intention was to start a group of people who like already knew woodworking, but what ended up happening is I have a group of women who don't know anything about woodworking, and so
I
like
want to learn.
I'm basically doing the teaching during the group time, which is fine. I've actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But like our first project that we decided to do, I was like, okay, we're going to go to Anna White's website and we're going to look up, some projects that I know like are well detailed and have plans. And, it just makes it so much easier to walk people through it
Hmm.
when you have a resource like that. So like we just got done, they made their first birdhouses was the project we started with. Um, and it
That's
was,
awesome.
yeah, I mean, it was fun. And now it's like, as we're talking as a group, like, well, what's the next project to do? They're like, well, let's go to Anna White's website and see what other beginner projects she has. So I definitely appreciate that resource in a new way.
Yeah.
Um, and I also like to go to her site for kids furniture stuff, like
Oh,
just to
yeah.
get ideas. I mean, like your teeter-totter, like we made, I used her plans for a loft bed to make like a play loft for my kids a couple Christmases ago. Um,
Yeah.
she's just got a lot of the like kids stuff, kids focused stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And everybody can use it. That's a thing.
I know.
And a lot of it's also minimum amount of tools too, which is the nice thing, It's like I think that's what makes a huge difference, that you don't need a lot of big fancy tools to make a lot of the things that she creates too.
Hmm.
So yeah, yeah. I'm glad you guys are using it. And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's a great resource.
Was there
These are all, when did you start doing this?
podcast or the
No,
group?
the teaching.
The group's just been started. I think we had our first one in December.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We just meet once a month. So like the birdhouse project, even though it wasn't big, it took, 2 meetings because it was like first we had to cut it all and then assemble it all. But um yeah, it's been fun. And at first I was a little disappointed because I wanted something that it's like I could just go to and enjoy and not necessarily like run um, and be in charge of, like I'm like, I just want to go talk
Yeah.
about tools with people. That's really all I want. Uh,
Well, you might need a assistant or a second person.
um, but it was actually really cool. Like, you know, and because of being in the social media world and having access to knowing different resources out there, things like, you know, I sent them before our first time of using a miter saw. I was able to send them Annika of like, is it Annika's DIY life or something like that.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
sent them her video from YouTube of all the basics of using a miter saw, you know, so it's
Yeah.
like just knowing that kind of stuff. And it was
Yeah.
fun to watch them like go from being extremely timid when they like walked up to the miter saw and like being worried about cutting their fingers off to
Yeah.
like feeling extremely empowered by the time they left. Like just
Oh,
their mood change, you know, and it's like that's really
yeah.
cool to get to see, like witness that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Build up their confidence a little bit. So that
Yeah.
makes a huge difference. But then yet, they're still a little scared, which is a
Mhm.
good thing. I think that's also a huge safety
Yeah. Oh
um
yeah.
safety
Yeah.
thing for us. Is like if you get too confident, I think that's when you kind of start,
Yep.
having accidents and stuff. So which is good. But yeah, that's awesome that they build up a lot of the confidence just to use the miter saw. And
Hmm.
I remember how it was when I first started. I was like, ah, no.
I know.
I still have to learn. I still have to learn the basic other stuff, but at least I know how to go straight and
Yes.
then
Yes.
45 degrees. And
Yes.
but yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Did you, I mean, you said that first project you worked with like a local woodworker person for the teeter-totter. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, do you feel like you grew confidence from learning these tools?
Say that again. Sorry.
Oh, no. I was gonna say, do you feel like you've gained confidence from using these tools?
I have. I definitely had, like I didn't know anything about tools. I did, it was just um and when in high school we didn't have shop classes.
Hmm.
So that and I went to an all girls high school. So it was we never got exposed to it. So but I started like doing the learning from YouTubes and stuff
Hmm.
like that, and then started um I met with him, and he was very patient. He was very nice and very knowledgeable, and he likes to teach too, so which made a huge difference for me. But after that experience, I was like, okay, I think I can use some of these tools. And then
Hmm.
I just started, but I said I need to learn more about these tools before I start like doing stuff and using it and stuff like that. But that was like the first time getting exposed, and I definitely it made a huge difference in my perspective and how I felt about the tools. Definitely had a huge confidence booster for me.
Hmm.
Oh, but yeah.
Is Do you feel like have you had any influence on other women in your, you know, in real life circle about like you can go use these tools type thing?
I do. I have a couple of friends that are interested in learning. And I have a friend that she's building up her like tool collection.
Hmm.
And she's always asking questions, which is nice, that. And then I've had friends that are like, hey, what kind of wood is this? I want to have a floor like that. I was like, okay.
Hmm.
But it looks like this, so, but I've mostly a lot of just very little amount of like near close friends that are not into woodworking and stuff. But they're always very supportive, which is
Hmm.
great. And they know, and they're like, I want to learn. At some point, a couple of my coworkers wants to learn how to make like their own cutting boards and stuff like that, which would
Hmm.
be interesting to do. But hopefully once I have more space, and I think that'll be fun to do just like a little mini sessions with a couple of coworkers or friends,
Hmm.
and just getting together with a couple of them to teach and learn together, just to
Hmm.
make a few small items. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Resin can be a good thing too to like teach other people. It's like a little,
Yeah.
I mean, it's messy, like,
It is.
but it's not like you're gonna like, lose an appendage if you mess up.
Yeah, yeah. You might get stain on your clothes,
Right.
but yeah, that's
Mhm.
true. Yeah, I think that would be interesting to do. And then I've tried connecting with like local like stores and stuff like that too. But like they are requesting a lot of commitment time, which I don't have,
Mhm.
so I was like, I'll hold off on it when I have more time.
Mhm. Mhm. You mean as in like teaching and stuff like that?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
have like local classes that
Mhm.
they ask if there's anyone that wants to do any teaching and stuff, but
Mhm.
I'll wait off on that for now.
Yeah, there's like I could do more teaching at the local maker space, but it's definitely
Yeah,
kind of the same thing of like it takes a lot of commitment to put together a class. Like there
it is.
just even one class, it's like you have to plan out like all the materials you need to gather, like what how much
Yeah.
time the class needs to take. Which again, I always, just like with my real work, I always underestimate how much time we actually need to get through stuff.
I think we always do.
No, I'm trying to get better at like when I'm thinking in my head, oh, that should only take 2 hours, like double it, just automatically double it. And I'm probably much closer to what it will actually take.
Yes, yes, that's true. I know in my mind I'm like, okay, I could do this, and that, but and then you're thinking, and then you're like, okay, I could be done by the weekend.
Right, right.
And no, it does
Mhm.
not happen that way. Because
Nope.
the dog wants to snuggle for like an hour,
Hmm.
or my kids, they want to do this and that. And so yeah.
Hmm. I know
Yeah.
those pesky kids just always like way.
I know.
I know it's sometimes it's the way my schedule is working currently, it's weekends are the only time I get really in the shop. And so you
Mhm.
know it's like, okay, after the 15th time of like being requested to like come play a board game, or like I need a snack or whatever, it's just like, okay, fine. you know
I know, I know.
like, I love you,
Yeah,
but I just want to get done with this one task.
yeah, just one.
Yes.
I know. Yes, I think that's the hard part with woodworking as a hobbyist, or even just as a side thing, a
Hmm.
side business. Is also taking into consider, the kids and everything. Your family life still doesn't change,
Right.
you know. So the next thing is like, at least there's some flexibility. That's what I like, is like there's some flexibility. And I usually try to do stuff on like Friday evenings, and then Saturdays, and a little bit of Saturdays and Sunday, kind of
Hmm.
spread my time of a little bit. So that way I don't feel like it's a chore,
Hmm.
and then I think once it starts becoming like a chore, a task, and I think that's when you kind of start losing interest a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, so I want to be able to take my time and just enjoy the process and learn and make sure that I know what I'm doing.
Hmm. Hmm.
So,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
So is your shop space in, I think you said it's in your garage right now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
most of my tools are in the garage, lumber and stuff like that are in the garage. Right now, my epoxy pour is in the furnace room. And then I was working on my shelf in one of our other room. So it's kind of spread out right now. And
Hmm.
that's how it is during the winter time. So I didn't
Yes.
take over the laundry room yet. So
Yeah, this is the first winter. Well, I mean, I used to rent shop space, which had a heater and was like insulated and
oh,
stuff. So that was nice for like resin
yeah.
stuff. But then I had to move to my home garage, which is not insulated and did not have a heater. So I finally I got a heater put in, but it's still one of those things of like, you know, it's not insulated. So I have to have it like cranked way up just to keep it at like 60 degrees in there.
Yeah.
So I kind of, the resin work is still touch and go in the winter time because it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to run, the heater like at 80 degrees all
Oh,
night long just to keep it at
yeah.
the right temp for it to cure. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's one thing that you could totally mess it up. It's like,
Mhm.
okay. And some things are out of your control. Like, what if their heater like shut down
Yeah.
all of a sudden? You're like, oh, and then all your work just
That
yeah.
actually happened. I have the upcycled yardstick project, and I, used resin to glue them all together.
Yeah.
And so I had the heater running all night for it to cure, and like the power went out in the middle of the
Oh
night.
no.
Oh, I was like, luckily it was okay, but I still was like super, I
Yeah.
was like, oh no, because like,
Yeah.
yeah. Like it needs to be kept at a certain temp, otherwise it doesn't cure. Yeah.
Yeah, yes. I know it's interesting how sensitive, and resins are. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's tough, but we're hoping that in summer I'll have my own space. So hopefully it'll happen. We got approved by the city, which is good, to build
Oh,
an
nice.
attachment. So
Oh, nice.
that'll have AC and heater, which
Hmm.
it'll be just one of those split units.
Yep.
Um, so that'll be a huge difference. So I'm hoping that this year I'll be just focusing on more shop upgrades and shop organizations and
Hmm.
stuff like that once it's built. Um, so that'll be interesting. So yeah.
Yeah, that's like my next project is to try to figure out if one of those garage door installation kits will work on my garage doors, so I can put that in. And then potentially, I'll probably potentially look at getting a mini split as well,
Yeah,
so I can have AC out there. But
that would be nice.
even some of the other makers I followed said like just by putting the insulation on the doors, like that still helped during the summer just to keep, the cool air that's kind of coming from the house, even
Yeah.
to keep it a little less like a hot tin can that it tends to
Yeah.
become in the summertime.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, that would be awesome. That would be
Yeah.
great. I've heard about that too, where it definitely makes a huge difference
Hmm.
in the garage temperature.
Hmm.
Um, we have our garage insulated, but you could still feel the draft and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but it definitely made a huge difference when we got it insulated, when my husband actually had insulated and then I helped with the wall and stuff. But it made a huge difference. Like when it wasn't insulated, like my miter saw would get all that frost
Oh
from
yeah.
the cold.
Yeah.
I was like, it's pretty, but I don't,
Yeah.
like I don't need this in my,
Right. Right.
so. And then we also replaced the window too. That made a huge difference in the garage.
Hmm.
Um, and then yeah, it was they only had like just a plexiglass on the window, and that
Oh
was it. I was like, oh yeah, that's
no.
that
Yeah.
we definitely need to change that as
Yes.
the wind blows and you can see it moving.
Hmm.
I'm like, yeah, we definitely need to change that. So that made a huge difference too. But we didn't do the garage door yet. But I don't think we'll see how the winter goes this
Yeah.
year in the summer.
Hey makers, today's episode is sponsored in part by toolmomstore.com. At toolmomstore.com, you can find any and all tool-based merchandise for all genders, all sizes. They've got mugs, they've got shirts, all kinds of cool stuff. I have one of the shirts myself that has the hashtag woodworker on it. And I also have a couple of the mugs that define what and who is a tool chick. So super excited with the merchandise that I have. I know that you will be satisfied as well. And also, great discount for those of you who listen to the podcast. At checkout, if you enter the code MAKERMOM, you will get a 20% discount off any of the merchandise that you buy. So that's just toolmomstore.com. All right, let's head back into the action. Yeah, I wish we have like a decent amount of like property. Like it's close to an acre, but it's all like sloped. And so it's just like the idea of, because we've talked about off and on building like a independent structure that could be my shop space. Yeah. But it's like when you start having to figure in, like, first we have to like get flat land to put it on. Like, and that's, $20,000 or whatever just to get that. It's like,
yeah.
Yeah. So in the meantime, it's like I've just taken over the garage and we get to park outside all year.
Oh, that's not too bad then.
Winter kind of sucks. That's about the only time it really sucks to have the cars stuck outside.
Yes, you gotta get the snow off.
Yes. Leave time to go start the car in the morning, all that kind of stuff.
Yes. This is when you appreciate the electric car starter sometimes.
Yes.
Like, oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that anymore. I was like, I miss it, but I work from home most of the time. So I was like, okay, at least I can deal with the winter for now.
Yeah. But that's really cool that you're going to get to have your own space added on.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll outgrow that space quickly? Like, I feel like every woodworker, once they get like their own independent space, and you think at first it's going to be huge, and then you're like, oh, I can't fit all my stuff into this space.
I know. Yes. Well, my father-in-law, he's a woodworker, but he lives in Kentucky. He is actually going to pass down a lot of the tools to me.
Mm.
And we had asked him for his opinion and stuff like that, since he's giving me all pretty much whatever tool I want from his shop. But he actually has a whole building that used to be a daycare. And they had rooms, and they had a huge room, and that's where all his tools are and all his lumber. He also has a storage area for all the lumber too. So I'm like, I probably won't be able to fit all his tools or the lumber, but he said that just pick whatever I want or need, and then but he was like, you probably will need a bigger space. That was his input on the size that we were going to go with. So but I was like, I'll make sure we'll make a lot of storage space for all the tools, and then also
put everything on wheels.
Yes. Definitely. And then he was like, make sure, and I was like, make sure I'll use up all the wall space. I decided just to do 2 windows in the area, just so that way I can still have natural light, and then I'll have a big wall space too for the tools and stuff like that. So making use of all the wall space I have, and also the storage space that I'm planning on building and stuff too. So hopefully it will be enough, or else I might have to get rid of a couple of things.
I know, I'm still in that. I mean, I moved in August. Yeah, the start of August, I moved to our garage, and I thought I had it all like figured out. Okay. But I still have a bunch of like stuff just basically in the middle of the room that I don't know like where to move it. And so I continue to like add wall control panels to the wall as much as possible, so that I can get as many like hand tools hung up so that they're not taking up space on like bench tops and stuff. and then having to work on like, yeah, if it's not on wheels, finding wheel solutions so that I have the capability of moving stuff when I need to. And hopefully I think it's gonna come sometime this summer. I'll be getting a CNC. And so then that's gonna take up like a huge portion of the garage. I'm still like,
what kind are you getting?
How am I gonna make this work?
Which one are you getting?
I'm getting a Avid CNC.
Ah, okay. That one's great too.
Yes.
I've heard so many good things about it. So I was like, oh, but that's something on my wish list at some point when we'll see. But that would be awesome. Yeah,
it's the next step in the trying to make this full-time gig is like being able to have the capability to like turn out small pieces in a production manner so that it's like, everything I do right now is by hand and artistic, and that means lots of hours, which means I need to sell it for way more than what most people are prepared to spend. So
that's true.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to even just the things of like, I have so many like, slabs and stuff in my shop space that are bigger than would fit like the standard planers, that you can buy. And so even just the fact of like, oh, with the CNC, I can throw it on there and I can flatten it and I don't have to create my own jig for it or anything like that. I can just put it up there and get it flat, even if it takes a little bit of time, at least like, and even just understanding that that can become a business of itself. Like people will pay you to flatten slabs for them, stuff like that. So definitely, it's like, it just opens a lot of doors by having that capability for sure.
Yes. Oh yes, definitely. And I think that I know some people think like having a CNC is not quite craftsmanship and and stuff like that. But if you think about it, like a lot of companies, like big companies, use machines all the time.
Yes.
And they have people to do all those things.
Right.
But you're still going to design, you're still going to program, you still have to sand, you still have to, you still, if you need to route, you probably will have to route that yourself, you still have to do a lot of the stuff that other big companies don't have to be responsible for.
Right.
So yeah, but it just makes such a huge difference for you because you're not, the thing is like using some of these tools, some people have carpal tunnels, and you might not be able to use, some people have like arthritis and stuff like that. Physically, they might not be able to do those things. That's where I think having a CNC makes a huge difference for makers that still wants to continue making things and doing things. And so I think that definitely will help with mass production, because I know I tried making those puzzles myself with the scroll saw and stuff like that. They're all not the same.
Right.
And so if having a CNC is like, if you could do mass production of certain things, that makes a huge difference in your work and your business. So why not?
Well, and even like it can also be like take my carving to a whole new level, because I can like get certain shapes to start with and then finish it all by, just like I do now. But I think it will definitely open the capability of like what I can even make as far as that goes. So I'm excited about it. And it'll be fun to learn, a new tool for sure. Even if it takes up all of my shop space.
That's true. How big is it?
It's gonna be the 5x5 bed, so it's like 5 foot by 5 foot. So it's the size of Alma's of Pink Soul Studio, like it's the size of hers. And she also is in a two-car garage, just like I am. My two-car garage is just slightly wider, but still, like I've been in her shop space, and so I've seen how much space that thing takes up. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I
Yeah.
definitely have to have everything else on wheels before that thing gets here.
Oh yes. I love like a lot of the stuff like the CNC operators or owners make. It definitely step up their games a lot. You know, it definitely a huge game changer for a lot of the makers. There's so many things that you can do with it, you know, things that you can't do by hand. Or you could improve on those things, the things that you don't like doing, you know, like I hate doing juice group because I always end up having a burn spot. You know? so like, you know, having a CNC will make a huge difference. I have to worry about the burn
That's
spot.
right. That's right. Well, and just like, I mean, yeah, like stuff that, you know, like Alma will cut out on hers and stuff. You can make it all like traditional methods, but the amount of time that takes you, like that's where it's like if you want to sell your pieces, it's you can go one of two ways, right? You either find the crowd that is willing to like pay what something is actually worth for making it all by hand, and the, you know, many number of hours it takes to like break down lumber and then, you know, do dovetails and all of that stuff. Like you can find the person who's willing to drop a few grand on that piece of furniture. But the fact is it's not easy to find that group. It's a lot easier to find a group who's like mid-range. And so it's like, well, instead of breaking all of that down, if I have a piece of hardwood, it's still hardwood, and put it on the CNC and cut out, you know, the whole side panel shape. That saved a whole bunch of time right there. And it will still be like, it will still be an heirloom piece. Like it will still, especially if you go to a CNC from knowledge of like traditional woodworking, then you have the skills to understand everything you need to know about just working with wood before you actually like are cutting it out. And like you said, you still have to design it, and you still have to like program it, and you still have to do all of that stuff. Which is a skill too.
Well, it's the planning and stuff like that, you know, that comes along with it. Like you can't just, if you want to build something, you have to make sure you have all the pieces planned out too.
Right.
So I think that's where like you got to be really creative, and then programming it all. I think that'll make a huge difference.
Well, even stuff like, especially again, if you're not so much with plywood, but if you're working with hardwoods, like just understanding like wood grain direction, like stuff like that, you still have to know that in order to like make sure you're cutting it out in a proper orientation on the CNC, you know. So yeah, I know there's lots of people who, you know, who feel like CNC is not woodworking, but the reality is that like we're probably not too far away from most things, even in a home shop, are going to have to be done with that kind of technology.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. It's definitely, you know, a huge difference for especially the ones that are like doing things as like a business and planning on selling and stuff like that. So that's a huge difference for them. But yeah, I think it makes a huge difference for any business.
Yeah, it does. So what projects do you have on the horizon that you're super excited about right now?
Right now I'm trying to work on or finish my shelves for my office. And then I poured a couple of different hexagon epoxies down in the furnace room. Um, and then hopefully, and then also trying to figure out like I want to redo my daughter's closet right
Mhm.
now, but I'll wait on that. She needs a lot of storage space. And then also eventually my son's closet too, but I also wanted to redo our bathroom closet too. So, but those are extra stuff that
Those
I'll
closets, we got closets on our list too.
yeah.
That's another place to check out Anna White that we plan to do. She has, oh, and I can never remember what it's called. Shelf something, shelf made, maybe. Where you can go on and like plan out, closet or whatever dimensions, and then like they send you all the pre-cut plywood to that.
Oh.
And then you just have to assemble it.
Oh, nice. That
Yes.
would be awesome. If you have the
Yeah.
link, let me know
Yes.
if
Yes.
you
I'll send
remember
it to
it.
you. Yeah.
Because I
So that's
definitely
our plan because we have a couple closets we need to like really redo too. And
yeah.
in the past, we've always done like, ordered closet systems. And it's like, it's never just right. Like, it's never what we really want.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I found out about this, I was like, ooh, no, it is just the plywood part. So it's like drawers and stuff. Like you still have to make the drawers for it. But for
Hmm.
someone like me, like I don't have a table saw. So
I don't
breaking
either.
down like, and I don't have a track saw either. So breaking down like a big piece of plywood, I'm like, I don't want to stand at Lowe's for like 3 hours having them cut all of
Yeah.
these individual
And
pieces
it might
for
not
me.
even be straight.
Right. Exactly. So I think it's a pretty, fantastic system to still allow you to
Yeah.
like make it custom and, meet your needs. And then it's like, I just got to pocket hole it all together. I can do that. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yes, I definitely could do that.
yes.
I know. Yeah, that would be awesome. 'Cause I was like, oh, I have we have one of those those old fashioned closet where you just go in and grab
Yep.
stuff in two
Yep.
doors, the slides and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I want to do something different with that because I was like, I think I
Mm-hmm.
need more space to more storage. But it's like this will be a good opportunity for me to get rid of the clothes that I don't wear anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. We still have all of our closets that when we moved in were like this wire frame closet system. And it just does not work. It just
No.
like, especially in the kids' room, those are the ones that we want to redo like first and foremost. So it's like give you a space to put all your crap away so it's not just on the floor everywhere.
Yes.
I'm sure it will still end up on the floor everywhere, but like
At least now they
yes,
have space to hide it.
yes.
I know, like, oh my gosh. Yeah, and it's I feel like it'll be a never ending process, but I think once I get the shop stuff done, um, get all the storage and stuff like that, then I'll work on like the house projects. I feel like there's just a lot of things that definitely can be done.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so like I'm taking my time on it. I want to make sure I figure out make sure everything is square.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll practice in the shop for
There you
storage for
go.
now.
Good place to practice.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
well, Sing, we're actually at the end of our time together. So I want to give you a chance to let people know again, like how they can find you and follow along with you.
Well, they can find me on Instagram. It's crafty underscore at underscore heart, HEART. And they can find me on TikTok as well. So that's mainly it. Just DM me, give me a
All
follow.
right.
I'll see if I can help.
There you go. And I'll include the links to both of those in the show notes to make it easy for everybody. And thanks for chatting with me this morning.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Katie. I appreciate your time. And this is an awesome thing that you're doing for the community.
Thank you. And yes, it was fun chatting. I always enjoy talking about tools.
Same here. Because my husband won't even care.
I get it.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, so again, that was Sieng of Crafty at Heart. I will include the links on how you can follow along with her on Instagram and see all the things that she's currently up to and what she's about to get into. Make sure you follow along with the podcast over on Instagram at Crafting a Revolution. There you will find a link in the bio that includes shortcuts to listen to the podcast on your favorite platforms, watch it on the Freeman Furnishings YouTube channel, and help support it. So if you've enjoyed this week's episode, please make sure that you subscribe anywhere you get podcasts. And if you would like to support in a monetary way, you can head on over to patreon.com/crafting a revolution. And there's several different tier levels available there. Or like I said, if you're following along on Instagram at Crafting a Revolution and check out the link in the bio there, there's an option for doing a one-time monetary donation to the podcast. If you have been enjoying the podcast and can't or don't want to support in a monetary way, no problem at all. Just go ahead and share about the podcast on Instagram at Crafting a Revolution. Let your friends know what you're enjoying about the podcast, who's your favorite maker, all the good stuff. While you're there, you can hop on over and check out what I've got going on in the shop at Freeman Furnishings. See all the shop dancing and power carving you could possibly want. And also check out at Women of Woodworking, my co-host Katie Thompson's project, and at Pen and Chisel as well for her additional project there. All right, this is the last new episode of the week. We've got one brand new episode coming at you next week. So in the meantime, as always, let's go craft a revolution.